that'd be ideal. Thank you.
Sorry.
Star was trying to save you.
I was like, here, take some.
Well, that's why I didn't come on Monday, because I was so sick over the weekend. I mean, I was literally every point in my body, and so I had this, and I couldn't like.
It's true.
Oh.
Phil, one goes on this round for it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the Brighton Area Schools Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, staff, my roll call, please.
Mr. Storm,
Present.
Dr. Krebs.
Here.
Ms. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Conley.
Here.
Mrs. Marks.
Here.
Mr. Trombley.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Here. All right, that moves us to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion? Moved by
Support.
Ms. Reed, support by Mr. Trombley. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes 7-0. That brings us to the call to the public. If there's anyone here who would like to address the board, we have cards at the back of the room. You guys can fill it out, provide it to Mr. Pickleton, and you will have 3 minutes to address the board. And Jennifer Bond, the floor is yours.
All right, my name is Jennifer Bond, 7396 Cowell. Do we still have to do that? I don't know. And I'm coming here because I just left the set strike at the Brighton High School as we just finished a great run of Guys and Dolls. And I can't tell you what a fabulous, fabulous show it was. Some of you were able to be in the audience a couple times and just had the ability to see the fabulous talent that we have here in Brighton. That talent's here because we have people that are dedicated adults that had a vision for this program. And I would imagine that it would go against any theater program in the nation. And these people have sacrificed so much, many times leaving in the wee hours of the morning, myself included, as I was lead of props. And I can't tell you how many parents of people that have even had former castmates that are still involved in the program. So it's definitely a point of pride. And I think all of you as Board of Education members can understand the sacrifice and the time away from your families as you've, came to meetings, done things for the good of the order of Brighton area schools. However, the behavior that my son showed to me when he was at the last Board of Education meeting in March, it wasn't a point of pride for Brighton. It was a point of embarrassment. And I'm here to talk about that because having you all as leaders, having our students, my son who is a senior in the audience, showcasing their musical, to watch that behavior showed me that you are not following the things that I expect in my classroom or any classroom in Brighton. Be kind, be safe, be respectful, be responsible. We also teach our kids about civil discourse. And I know that you all have different points of opinions, but you need to work harder for the leadership positions that you have. So I also, being an educator, have a growth mindset. And that means that I think you are better than that. So that's why I come here. I want to be just as proud of all of you as I am of the Brighton Musical Theater Program. And I hope that you as a team can work to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? All right, seeing none? No. Oh, no. Okay. All right, seeing none, that closes the call to the public and moves us to the for action portion of our agenda. Item A, 2019 bond program, phase 5 field refurbishment. Mr. Englisher?
No,
Mr.
John
Johnson?
Thompson.
Yeah, we presented, I think John talked about the field refurbishment project at the last meeting. We are looking to try to get that looked up for approval because we want to get on the schedule for the contractor for the summer.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the field refurbishment, and this is the Midwest Landscaping bid proposal?
So moved.
Moved by
Support.
Mr. Trombley, supported by Ms. Reed. Any discussion?
So, John, just a quick question. Early this year, I think it was the January board meeting, we had conversations regarding the indoor field house and a lot of the open items that were related to it and some project scope changes that, from what I was told at the board meeting that day, were driven from the district. One of the questions I had posed to my peers on the board and to the administration involved payment terms and how we ultimately will handle changes in scope if this ultimately is awarded, the contractor begins. Are there terms that we've put in place to protect the district as it relates to any unforeseen circumstances where we're not going to have to go through multiple rounds of revisions and pay more money? Are we confident that what we've received bids for will actually deliver what we're going to be contracting the contractor to do?
Yeah, we're comfortable with that. We will hold the retainage either way, so make sure the work is complete.
And Mike, what will the payment terms be when this is awarded? What are the payment terms on the project?
I don't, honestly, I don't remember off the top of my head, Andy.
Okay.
I can
Email them to me maybe?
let you know.
That'd be fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
that'd be fine.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? That passes 7-0. Moves us to item B, the food service proposal. Mr. Ingleter?
This will be the third meeting we talked about the food service equipment. Mr. Browder was here at the last meeting, talked about it as well. We're just looking to get it approved so we can get it ordered.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the food service equipment as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Krebs,
Support.
supported by Ms. Reed. Any discussion?
Same question, Mike.
Yeah, and as we talked about at the last meeting, moving forward, any RFPs that we put out on the street for equipment will include some payment terms at that time. But what we solicited from the vendors at the time for the quotes was already, the payment terms were already included in that.
So that is not what I recall we discussed at the last board meeting, but I do not want to hold up purchasing the equipment for the food program. But I'll have to go back and look at the dialogue we had at the last board meeting, but I don't recall that being what we agreed to. It was my understanding that the administration had committed to establishing payment terms, because I think it was, one of my peers on the board asked the question around how could we change the payment terms? And I mentioned that we're the ones who issue the purchase order, and it is on our purchase order that the payment terms are spelled out. We're the buyer of the equipment, so our purchase order dictates payment terms to whom we're buying the equipment from. So I thought that was clear at the last board meeting, but again, I don't intend to hold this up. Want to support the food program, but I don't remember it being as you described.
Can I ask a question? If we have a sealed bid process, we can't change the bids after, we can't adjust the,
That would be correct.
so
In
that would be
this
part of
instance,
changing a sealed bid.
Actually, it's not, but that's okay. Payment terms have nothing to do with the actual,
usually not.
correct, that's okay.
They were part of the bid.
If it is part, okay.
I know in the last meeting when Richard was here, he discussed having a broker do this. Is the broker making money off us, or why is there a broker involved? Why wouldn't it just go through our normal purchasing way of doing it? Soliciting bids and then soliciting them and having them submitted.
I don't know. There's not any payment to any brokers that I'm aware of. So
Didn't he say that they used a broker?
Yeah, he did.
He did say that we weren't paying the broker.
How's
Obviously, the broker is making money somewhere.
Well,
I mean,
you know, brokers
I'm not-
don't work for free.
I do know that. yes.
So,
Right.
so, you know, again, why is there a broker involved in this situation?
I'm not familiar with the broker per se, but I think it's probably a consortium broker that we, like HPS or one of these consortium programs that we use, that you just put it out to.
Well, you would know that if it's being bid, right?
Yeah, I didn't bid it.
So who bid it? The broker?
The broker solicited the quotes.
Well,
I don't know about
that
that.
doesn't make a lot of
Yeah, I
sense
know
to
about
me
that.
when we have a purchasing, means of purchasing.
Right.
Right, and one of the means of purchasing under the new.
State
board
purchasing.
policy is to obtain quotes. That's how it's set up.
But, I mean, you acknowledge that the intent of having a full-time employee whose job responsibility is to solicit quotes on behalf of the district, like, that's the intent of the role, right?
No, I understand that.
Who do we have on staff that does nothing but solicit quotes?
Dr. Otwa? In our exchanges, as we've gone through some of the back and forth, you and I, so you've referenced when we talked about, for example, the paper down in the hallway.
So the question is,
Who is the
Who bought the
designated
paper?
buyer for the administration for the district?
Yeah,
Who
on the
negotiates
paper,
purchases?
our accountant was the person that did that one. As far as the food service, it would be your food service director. That would be your lead person that would have those contacts in the food service business. So that would be their role. If it was something with athletics, again, sometimes the athletic director would do that. And again, the finance department would be in support on some of those things, and they'd be in the lead on others. So it just depends on what the area is. Food service is very specialized. So Richard Browder would be the lead person on that, working with the finance department.
So to Ms. Reed's comment, is there an individual who reports to you who's responsible for procurement on behalf of the district? I guess is the
Yeah, I
question.
think,
I would ultimately.
You would, Mike?
yeah.
Did you look at the bid before it went out?
I did, there wasn't a formal bid RFP that went out and solicited quotes from the vendors.
Is that through state purchasing though, where our prices are guaranteed, somewhere like buying a vehicle or buying
Yeah, some of that's through consortium, but
consortium buying? So when this process, again, I'm not saying it's the wrong process we're using, Mr. Engler, but the issue is that, again, this equipment, we obviously want to buy it. We want to make sure it's the fairest price in the market. If 3 vendors are supplying the same equipment, we want to have those bids. And in this case, do we have all that to back up these bid prices? Do we have three bids?
yeah.
So I guess that's the question, right?
No, my question was,
This is probably what the process, which,
well, was it, if he had reviewed the RFP to make sure everything was kosher before it went out?
We didn't put an RFP on the street for this.
don't we have to?
No.
No, we don't. Okay.
Because it was purchased through a consortium.
We forced it, yeah, right.
How is that? Like, just,
I would have thought you'd
I
have.
mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's no formal structured RFP process?
There is a formal process.
Historically,
But
there
if
has
you go
been.
back to the purchasing policies that are in place, there are multiple avenues in which you can meet the requirements of the state's bid process. And one of those is to obtain quotes from 3 reputable vendors.
No, so I hear you loud and clear, Mike. I guess I don't want to put words in Roger's mouth, but
Missing something.
what we were just discussing as far as a formal RFP going out, or maybe it was Bill, the RFP going out. If I heard you correctly, you said that there was no one in the district that actually was involved in shaping or creating the RFP, that it was facilitated by the broker. The broker essentially created the RFP, not someone from the district. Did I hear you correctly?
We didn't put an actual RFP out. There were specs on what we wanted. Those went to the broker and the broker.
And I guess just speaking it individually, it just seems that with a procurement that's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, that someone from the district would have been intimately involved in establishing the RFP terms before that goes out to the street.
Ultimately involved in determining what the specs were and what he wanted, and put that out to get the quotes.
We don't, I mean, I think this is something we probably can just discuss offline collectively, whomever's interested, but there's opportunity for improvement, I think, for everybody involved. It's not like a $50 purchase, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So you're confident that we've secured the best pricing, best equipment possible from the bids that you saw?
I think based on the bids that came in, and I provided you with the matrix,
Yep.
what they were, if you look at the price spreads and everything, I don't feel like we're
Unless the three companies he sent all the bids to were people they all knew. So I mean,
yeah, but you're also talking a limited number of vendors that actually.
I know, I'm okay, I got it. On the scope though, that,
Trying to cover that.
okay, on the note we kind of just discussed in the finance meeting, I would like to see kind of a sheet going 5 years out from now about what we need to replace, where we can improve on efficiencies, where we can, and Mr. Storm brought that up, and other areas as well, but this is a perfect area to discuss what are the needs coming. So we get an idea. We get here, we're getting this, fortunately, we had this windfall of dollars, right, to help us fund this machine. Does that mean if we didn't have the windfall of dollars, we were just going to get along with status quo and just leave everything in abandoned condition? So we should look at that also. So if we're going to approve this tonight, I'd like the board hopefully to get their support to look at that. So we have something to aim at here. So we keep these facilities in top shape and what we're going to need to spend. And the same gentleman, if he's got the skill set, he's been helping and wanting to build our cafeteria systems to a better level. He can help us develop that as the expert, right? Does that sound fair?
Well, as a follow-up to that, I would also suggest, I know that we've talked about this, may have been a couple of years ago now, but we were putting, I think annually, like $50,000 in our capital improvement fund. And I think that there's a need for us to be more aggressive,
Agreed.
particularly if,
That's correct.
yeah, to Mr. Conley's point, if there are, there's an identification of things that we need to start planning for from a capital improvement standpoint, we need to be prepared for that and to set aside those funds and not just leave them in the general fund. I think that's an important thing for us to do.
Standard
Water
business.
runoff on buildings is a big one, I promise not to go down the rabbit hole, but lots of input from community members regarding water runoff. Do we inspect the downspouts that go out onto walkways, that sort of thing. So.
Okay. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes 7-0. That concludes the for action portion of our agenda. Moves us to the closed session portion. Do we have a motion?
I move that this board go into closed session pursuant to Section 8H of the Open Meetings Act to review confidential written attorney-client communication.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Marks. Any support? Support by Dr. Krebs. Ms. Akamai, roll call, please.
Mr. Trombley,
Yes.
Mrs. Marks,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Dr. Krebs,
Yes.
Mr. Storm,
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes, that passes 7-0. And that concludes all business items on our agenda. Once the closed session is completed, the meeting will be adjourned. Everyone have a good evening.
We stay in here? Oh, down in the other room?
Yeah, the plan is to.
Yeah, down at 131. Or you can stay here, it really doesn't matter. I think down here is better for communication or discussion among board members. So 131.